So we'll jump into the demo. So I'm going to use this basically the same model that we saw in the screenshots there. This is just a standard part file. Zulu Tech have created this, okay, and this is just a standard note that sits on the screen, which is certainly something you can do in Creo. Now, if we're looking at the MBD side of things, we're going to the Annotate tab. At the moment, notice down the bottom, there's nothing. Click down, click the Annotate tab, and then we get all of the different, these different tabs, okay? So I'll just click, let's say the first one, and show you that. So that's just a view of the model. All good. The next one across is information. Now these are actually hyperlinks, okay? So instead of me clicking the to general tab here, I can just click general information, and it can link me across to that tab. So if you have to control and click to activate it, okay? So you can see there it takes me to that tab. I can then go back to the first one and then control and click and go to properties, which activates this tab, okay? So you can see, you can use those hyperlinks or you can just click the tabs, okay? So if we go across here, we can then see notes. As you'll see, the view is sort of slightly changing. The model is sort of moving around. That all gets saved away when you save away this view. Before I go too much further, what I want to show you is that if we go to the view manager, and if it hadn't already been active, if we were to go, let's say the simplified rep was active, we just go to the all tab, and this then shows us the different combined, these are combined states, okay? These are like what I was talking about before. They call them all states. These are what becomes the tabs. So at the moment, we can't see the tabs because we've got this dialog visible, but you can see there we've got 0, we've got 7, A, B, C, D, etc. Okay, so if I close that, then we have these tabs. Okay, so and then I can just keep moving. So we've got now the datums. This is what I saw before. So as you notice, like as I click on these, like I can still interact with the model, right? I could still go back to my generic Creo model. I could go to my analysis tab, do a measure, so forth, if I needed to, or I can come back and just go to my annotation tab again. All right, and yeah, let's start looking through this again. So we have a few different views. We've got one here, which is effectively like, if you imagine this was a 2D view, it would be something like that, okay? Now we could show it like that in a 3D if we wanted to, or if it's clearer for us, we can show it like this as it's actually shown here, okay? We click the next view, okay? Now it's showing this information. Again, we could show the view like this by default if we wanted to. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment, okay? So, so this 7C hasn't been done. If we go across to this one here, it hasn't been completed either, but let's just have a look at, like, for example, if we wanted to do something that showed the model with some additional info. I'll be fairly quick here, but first what we want to do is we want to set our annotation plane. So in this case, it's going to set it to the top plane. And then we're going to show annotations, which we're going to come in and we're going to pick some dimensions, let's say, okay? We go apply. So that's just like in a drawing going, show model annotations, okay? I can also, if I was to set this here to active annotation plane, it allows me to see it in like the true effective like 2D view. And then I can take these dimensions and I can move them around. So these are dimensions that are coming from the model. I can also create dimensions on my objects as well directly. So similar again to the 2D environment. Here I actually want a diameter. Okay. So, all right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change tabs. So you can see what I've got there. I'm going to change tab to that. I'm going to come back to my test tab, and you'll notice the orientation hasn't been updated. Now, if I want it to be updated, I can just say, okay, let's go to the active annotation plane, okay? And then I just go update. And I can, let's say, come back to this one, and then come back to this one. And you can see now it remembers that. So if I have ability to control what exactly I see once I do that. All right. So that's fairly high level, but that's basically how it works. And so you've got basically all these options in here. You can add tables, all these other bits and pieces which I haven't covered, but certainly can be done. Geometric tolerances and so on. It works very, very similar to the 2D drawing, but we're just controlling it and showing it in the 3D environment.